Hi class, so in the first three videos for chapter 7, we've discussed about locational arbitrage, triangular arbitrage, and covered interest arbitrage. Okay, for chapter 7 part 4 video, we're going to talk about interest rate parity. In equilibrium, the forward rate differs from the spot rate by a sufficient amount to offset the interest rate differential between two currencies. Okay, remember in the last video when we talk about covered interest arbitrage? In the example, our case shows that forward rate is equal to the spot rate. Okay, that's why when there is an interest rate differential between two currencies, we can invest in the foreign country, for example, with a higher interest rate, and at the same time purchase a forward rate to cover the interest rate risk. Exchange rate risk. Okay, so we can make risk-free profit. However, if forward rate differs from the spot rate, okay, it's gonna offset the interest rate differential in equilibrium. Okay, and in this case, if we invest in, for example, the higher interest rate in the foreign country, okay, because the difference in forward rate compared to the spot rate, okay, when we exchange our currency back and forth, we will lose the profit we could lose the additional profits that we make by investing in the foreign country with the higher interest rate. Okay, so in equilibrium, it's gonna be the same for us to invest domestically or internationally. Okay, even though there's a difference in interest rate between the two countries or the two currencies, there's also a difference between the spot rate and forward rate. Okay, when you exchange your currency back and forth, it's gonna offset the difference in the return by investing in different currencies. Okay, and we call this interest rate parity. Okay, in this equilibrium level, you do not have covered interest arbitrage opportunity anymore in the interest rate parity case. Okay, and in this situation, P, the forward premium, is gonna be 1 plus IH, the home interest rate, the interest rate in the home country, divided by 1 plus IF, the interest rate in the foreign country or the foreign interest rate, minus 1. Determining the forward premium, the relationship between the forward premium or discount and the interest rate differential according to interest rate parity, IRP, is simplified in an approximated form. P, forward premium or discount, equals forward rate, F, in dollars, minus spot rates, S, in dollars, divided by S, spot rate in dollars. Okay, this is what we already learned before, right? Forward premium equals forward minus spot rate divided by spot rate. And it's gonna be equal to IH, home interest rate, minus IF, the foreign interest rate. Okay, this is a simplified version of the equation in the last slide. P equals 1 plus IH divided by 1 plus IF minus 1 could be equal to 1 plus IH minus 1 minus IF. Okay, so it becomes IH minus IF divided by 1 plus IF. Okay, that's approximately equal to IH minus IF. The difference in home interest rate and foreign interest rate. If it's equivalent to the forward premium, then we say there's an interest rate parity. There's no covered interest arbitrage opportunity in this case. Let's look at an example here, determining forward premium. 6-month peso interest rate, 6-month dollar interest rate, spot rate. These three conditions are given. Okay, we want to determine what is the forward premium in equilibrium, in interest rate parity. Okay, we know there's a high interest rate in the foreign country. The peso interest rate is 6% higher than the domestic interest rate in US, 5%. The spot rate is 1 peso is equivalent to $0.1. Okay, so the premium, according to our equation, the premium, forward rate premium, equals F minus S over S equals IH minus IF. So it's the home interest rate, 5%, minus the foreign interest rate, 6%. So it becomes negative 1% as our forward premium, which is equivalent to the forward rate minus the spot rate, 0.1 over the spot rate, 0.1. So from this, we know the forward rate is 0.099. Okay, so we first use the interest rate parity condition to find the forward premium P by using IH minus IF, home interest rate minus home forward rate. Then after we know the P, because spot rate S is given, we can use the definition for the forward rate premium, okay, to find out the forward rate F. Okay, so we have two equations or formulas combined in this line equation. First, IRP or interest rate parity means P equal to IH minus IF. Secondly, the definition for forward premium means P equal to F minus S divided by S. Comparing arbitraging strategies. Okay, we have this IRP line, interest rate parity line. Okay, this is a upward sloping straight line. X is P, forward premium. Y is difference in the interest rate. IH minus IF, home interest rate minus minus foreign interest rate. And remember, in the case of interest rate parity, P should be equal to IH minus IF. Okay, that's why this line is the same as Y equal X line. Okay, any point on this line, we know P equals IH minus IF. And we have points B, A, C, D on the line. Above the line, we have point Z. Below the line, we have point X and Y. Okay, so we know for C and D, P equals IH minus IF, and they're both larger than 0. For A and B, P equals to IH minus IF, and they're both below 0. For Y, P and IH minus IF, they're both positive, but P, the forward premium, is larger than the interest rate difference, IH minus IF. For X, point X, both for discount P and IH minus IF, they're both negative. Okay, but again, P is larger than IH minus IF. Okay, for Z, P is smaller than IH minus IF. Okay, so for anything below the line, for example, X and Y, P is larger than interest rate differential. For any point above the line, such as point Z, the forward premium is smaller than interest rate differential. Illustration of interest rate parity. Points representing a discount, points A and B. Okay, for A and B, it's interest parity case, but because P is negative, so we say this is a forward discount situation. For points C and D, it represents a premium. Okay, for C and D, P is positive, so there's a forward premium. And A, B, C, D, because they're all on the line, so they all represent the IRP case, interest rate parity case as well. Points below the IRP line, for example, points X and Y. Okay, for example, points X and Y, the X, the forward premium, the X-axis, okay, the forward premium P is larger than interest rate difference IH minus IF for X and Y, the points below the line. Investors can engage in covered interest arbitrage and earn a higher return by investing in foreign currency after considering foreign exchange rate and forward premium or discount. Okay, because this case, the forward premium is larger than the interest rate difference. Does exist a covered interest arbitrage opportunity, and we can earn a higher return by investing in the foreign currency. For any points above the line, for example, point Z, in this case, again, P is smaller than the interest rate difference. US investors would achieve a lower return on a foreign investment than on a domestic one. Okay, so investing domestically will help investors to make more money. How to test whether interest rate parity exists. The location of the points provides an indication of whether covered interest arbitrage is worthwhile. For points to the right of the IRP line, investors in the home country should consider using covered interest arbitrage, since a return higher than the home interest rate is achievable. Of course, as investors and firms take advantage of such opportunities, the point will tend to move toward the IRP line, back on the line, so this opportunity will go away. Covered interest arbitrage should continue until the interest rate parity relationship holds. Okay, so we start from the right of the line. In that case, P is larger than IH minus IF, so it's beneficial for the investors to invest in the foreign currency. And once people start to arbitrage away this opportunity, the point will move on the line until this opportunity goes away. And anything also above the line tells us that we can make more by investing in the domestic currency. More on interest rate parity. Interpretation of interest rate parity. Interest rate parity does not imply that investors from different countries will earn the same returns. Okay, for the two countries, they could still have different interest rates. So, for example, UK investors and US investors, they could have different interest rates. It's just as a US investor, even though the interest rate is higher if you invest in UK, but because you're gonna exchange US dollar to UK pound first, and then change it back to US dollar in the future, and because that spot rate is different from the forward rate. So even though you have a higher interest rate investing in UK, but because of your exchanging back and forth, you're gonna not earn as much because of the different spot and forward rate, because of the forward rate premium. Okay, so it's gonna be, in the case of interest rate parity, we're just saying that as a US investor, it makes no difference to you to invest domestically in US or investing in UK. Okay, but for the investors from US or from UK, if both of them are investing domestically and does not to exchange the currency back and forth, for them, the interest rate could still be different. Does interest rate parity hold? Compare the forward or discount with interest rate quotations occurring at the same time. Okay, if you want to see if the IRP hold, you can compare P, the forward rate premium or discount, with the interest rate quotations, IH minus IF, home interest rate minus foreign interest rate, and to see if they're the same. If they're the same, IRP holds. If they're not, then it doesn't hold. Due to limitations in access to data, it is difficult to obtain quotations that reflect the same point in time. Considerations when assessing interest rate parity: transaction costs. The actual point reflecting the interest rate differential and forward rate premium must be farther from the IRP line to make covered interest arbitrage worthwhile. Okay, so if we do consider transaction costs as well, we not every points right to the line or below the line can make us profit by using covered interest arbitrage. It should make enough profit so it can the profit can cover the transaction cost as well. Political risk. A crisis in the foreign country could cause its government to restrict any exchange of the local currency for other currencies. So there's another cost you could burden, another cost that could burden you by using when you are using the covered interest arbitrage. Differential tax laws. Covered interest arbitrage might be feasible when considering before tax returns, but not necessarily when considering after tax returns. Okay. When we're using covered interest arbitrage, in reality, we not only want to make sure that the P forward premium is larger than the IH minus IF, so our point is on the right hand side of the IRP line. We also want to look at the transaction costs, the political risk, and the tax laws in the different countries. Okay, so if we consider all of those three costs, including transaction costs, for example, our IRP line becomes wider. Okay, zone where covered interest arbitrage is not feasible. It's not just a straight line anymore. It becomes a wider area. Okay. To the right side of the IRP, it is the zone of potential covered interest arbitrage by investors residing in the home country. They could make more by investing in the foreign currency in the foreign country. Okay, if the P is large enough compared to IH minus IF. To the left-hand side of the line, it is the zone of potential covered interest arbitrage by foreign investors. They could make more by invest in the domestic market. Okay, so the P has to be smaller enough compared to IH minus IF. Variation in forward premiums. Forward premiums across maturities. The annualized interest rate differential between two countries can vary among debt maturities, and so will the annualized forward premiums. Okay, so P, it is forward premium is defined as F minus S divided by S, but it's also related to the interest rate differential. It could be different among different debt maturities. So forward premium would be different too. We're gonna see this change in Exhibit 711. Also, forward premium could change over time, and in 712, we're gonna see the relationship between interest rate differentials and the forward premium over time. When interest rate parity holds, the forward premium must adjust to the existing interest rate condition if interest rate parity holds. Okay, over time, if IRP holds, our P equals to IH minus IF. But if IH and minus IF changes, then P should change as well across time. Okay. Number 3, explaining changes in the forward rate. The forward rate is indirectly affected by all the factors that can affect spot rate S over time, including inflation differentials, interest rate differentials. The change in the forward rate can also be due to a change in the premium. Okay, so P is related to S. S is related to inflation or interest rate differentials. And P is also related to, F is also related to P. Quoted interest rates for various times to maturity. Okay, so we have different debt instruments with different time to maturity, 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, 1 year, 2 years. And the US interest rate annualized quoted today is 4.55, 5.56. Remember, the longer the maturity is, the higher the interest rate is, right? When we were, remember when we learned how to price a bond, we have maturity risk premium for the bond return. Okay, the longer the maturity, the higher the maturity risk is, and the higher the return is. The euro interest rate quoted today, annualized, is 5% for all the different maturities. Interest rate differential annualized based on today's quotations. Okay, if we use the US interest rate as the home interest rate, euro interest rate as the foreign interest rate, take the difference of the two, we would have IH minus IF as negative 1% for 30 day, negative 0.5% as 90 days, 0 as 180 days, 0.5 and 1 for 1 or 2 years. Approximate forward rate premium annualized of euro as of today if IRP holds. Okay, so if interest rate parity holds, then our forward rate premium, P, would be equivalent to this third column here, or the fourth column here, interest rate differential, IH minus IF. Okay, so these two columns become the same number. And you can see our forward rate premium, P, is different for different debts of different maturities because the interest rate differential, IH minus IF, is different for different maturities. Okay, this is the forward premium change over time. We have the change over time because we have the interest rate change over time. In the first graph, we have annualized interest rate of the US interest rate and Euro's interest rate. Okay, so for the home interest rate in US, we have the blue line here. Okay, it's changing, it's going up and then going down. For Euro's interest rate, it's also a curve. Okay, so our I home minus I foreign becomes I US dollar minus I euro. Okay, so this becomes a changing line. So our premium, 1 year forward premium of euro becomes the same as the interest rate difference. Okay, negative number implies a forward discount. Positive number is a forward premium. But P is equivalent to I dollar minus I euro here. Okay, so that's all about interest rate parity, and due to the equation, we have some variations in the forward premium P, because P equals to I home minus IF. It also equals to F minus S divided by S. In the next video, we're going to summarize Chapter 7 and discuss some practice problems.